Well, good morning everybody, thanks for tuning in to this video where today I am enjoying a beautiful misty morning of early autumn photography. I can't tell you how much I've been looking forward to this and how much I'm looking forward to doing so much more of this over the next few weeks. I was checking the Windy app over the weekend and it was just looking like there was going to be fog everywhere in sort of Shropshire, Cheshire, North Wales. So I had to set my alarm this morning and really try and make the best of it. So that is what we're going to do today. Thanks for being here, guys. Now, I say that I'm looking forward to doing more of this over the next few weeks, but in reality what I mean is that I'm actually just looking forward to doing more of this during the autumn and winter. I feel like autumn and winter just passes me by every year, and I am determined not only to make the most of this time of year photographically, but also just to be out in nature during, in my opinion, the most beautiful time of year, the most beautiful season for nature and the outdoors. So yeah, that's what I'm doing today. This is kind of day one of me kind of practicing what I preach, I suppose. Now, another reason that I've been really looking forward to this morning is because I've just been looking forward to making another YouTube video. I apologise for just how sporadic and inconsistent my uploading is, or just, you know, my output online in general. I have been a bit all over the place, and that has kind of reflected life for me recently. I've been going for a pretty prolonged spell of burnout, creative burnout, just life burnout, I suppose. You'll know that, you know, my family have been going through some struggles recently, and, you know, I've had a lot of work on, I've had a lot of projects, and it hasn't left a lot in the tank really to sort of do social media. But yeah, the autumn I just feel rejuvenates me, and I get so excited about photography. So thanks for being patient and for sticking with me, and yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you guys around this really beautiful nature reserve. I came here back in the summer, and there was a number of scenes and compositions that I was just really optimistic about. I felt like they had a lot of potential, and yeah, I'm going to go check them out this morning and see if I was right. This woodland is really, really beautiful, and the sun is coming up pretty quickly. I was hopeful for fog this morning, and we do have fog. The conditions are really, really stunning, but there's a lot of blue sky, so I think if there was cloud, sunrise would be a little bit slower. So it is a little bit frantic, but I am trying to just take my time and accept the fact that the reason for being here is just to be out with my camera enjoying the morning. The motivation isn't to get as many amazing photographs as possible, and that's a mindset that I want to adopt throughout the autumn and throughout the winter, is that the goal is not about quantity, it's about quality, not only quality of photo but quality of experience as well. And that's a big reason actually why I've decided to come here today, to kind of kick off this new season of photography and creativity for me. Actually, let's talk about that a little bit. So when life gets hectic and I feel burnt out, quite often I do typically retreat to the woodland to nature, to the environment, to kind of reset and rejuvenate. It's always been something that has been very restorative for me. I think it's nice to know where that place is for you. It might not be the woodland, it might be a different type of environment, it could be a different type of activity, but just knowing where you can go to sort of feel that peacefulness, that reset, and that ability to just kind of think with more clarity and block out the stresses that you may be experiencing. That's been such a massive thing for me over the last couple of weeks. It's just kind of downing tools and getting back out there a little bit, and it has really, really inspired me. It makes me want to pick up the camera, it makes me want to just start creating things, and I think it's just one of those things that we can neglect. You know, the world is just it's an awful place right now. I don't want to get all political and talk about the state of the world, because this is a photography channel and photography is an escape from all of that stuff, but I have just been really acutely feeling recently the kind of doom and gloom, and all of that doesn't really exist in this sort of location. You know, when you're out with your camera in nature, walking around a woodland, the outside world just doesn't really exist. You know, trees will carry on, seasons will carry on. There is just a real feeling of consistency with nature. It's just, it will go at its own rhythm, it will do its own thing. I've just noticed as well that the light behind me is pretty amazing, so there's probably a photo to be had here. So, enough rambling, and let's take some photos. Oh yeah, there is definitely a shot here. Biggest tip in outdoor photography, landscape photography, always look behind you. The word I was looking for was permanence, not consistency. There isn't really anything consistent about nature, but it does have a rhythm and a cyclical nature, and that does provide a sense of permanence. And for me, that provides a feeling of comfort, knowing that nothing stays the same, and no matter how bleak or harsh the winter feels, the spring will always come. That also mimics life as well as creativity, and spending time in the outdoors, in nature, in the woodland, is a good reminder of that for me. There's solace to be found in these places. Now, something that I've been trying to do this morning, and something that I've been doing for a little while now, is actually something that I mentioned in this week's Substack article. My last video was about Substack and about how much I'm enjoying it as a place to share ideas and share more things around photography, and where it can be a hub for all the things that I do, whether that's podcasting, YouTube, written articles, photo posts, all that sort of stuff. And I'm really enjoying it, so I will leave a link down in the description below so you can go and check out my Substack. But the article was all around how photographers should really be more influenced by what's in front of them, the scene, the subject, more so than being influenced by preconceived ideas of things like visual style, of aesthetic, and I guess the approach of other photographers. And for me personally, what that looks like is really just not leaning into my own preferences all the time. You know, when it comes to editing style, for example, we all maybe will treat colours in the same way. We'll shift the hue of a green to a certain type of green, or we'll desaturate a yellow or an orange, or we'll apply the same tone curve to every image because we want to sort of try and get that level of consistency. We want to have that identifiable fingerprints across all of our photos. But that doesn't work for every scene. It's like a Lightroom preset, isn't it? If you've ever had a Lightroom preset, or you've decided to make your own pretest, you'll know that they work really well on some photos and not so well on others. And really, that's the most important thing about photographing the landscape, is that colours look different, contrast looks different, and trying to kind of shoehorn your style and your preconceived ideas onto every scene is not really doing that scene justice. And for me personally, when I'm out in the landscape now, I'm so much more influenced by what I'm looking at. For me, it's about looking at the colours of the landscape. How am I actually feeling stood in that landscape? Do I feel calm? Do I feel nostalgic? Do I feel a sense of unease because of the dramatic nature of the landscape that I'm in. All of these things can really inform our photos, and we can try and bring out some of those emotions and some of those feelings in the photos that we create. You know, a nice misty morning like today, where you've got soft light and you've got lovely pastel colours. There's a warmth to that. There's a serenity to that. So treating the photo in that way, thinking about maybe a lower contrast, maybe a slightly more muted colour palette, I feel like that kind of thing is going to, or that kind of approach is going to render that scene in a slightly more authentic way. Is that the right word, perhaps? I don't know. But it's something that I'm just thinking about a lot more. You know, I'm not being influenced by other photographers as much. I'm not being influenced by my own preconceived taste in terms of like aesthetic and tonality. I am just trying to be true to what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. And I think that creates a style in itself, because it's all you at the end of the day. You're just channeling you. Wow, this video is very deep, isn't it? But I've been thinking so much about this stuff, and I like to think about the why of creativity. It's not about how to take photos, it's about why we take photos and why we take photos in a certain way. And this morning has just been such a great exploration in understanding that a little bit more in myself. I'll tell you what a fabulous morning it has been. I definitely, and I keep saying it, I need to keep pushing myself to just get out and experience the start of the day. And it's definitely becoming easier now that the autumn is here. And I think coming to places like this, which I did visit, you know, back in the summer, and it piqued my interest then. I mentioned it in the first podcast episode that I did, that there were just a number of scenes that were just really catching my eye and I knew had so much potential. But I think this morning, the biggest lesson that I've learned is really you have to accept the fact that you can't shoot everything in the kind of optimal conditions that you want. It's better to pick maybe one or two scenes or subjects and really focus on those, because this morning I have been distracted by just so many wonderful scenes, and I don't for one second regret photographing them, because I really enjoyed the process of capturing scenes that were new to me that I didn't necessarily notice last time. But this scene here with this kind of twisty silver birch tree was the scene that was really kind of motivating me to kind of come back here this morning. But because I took a bit of time to get here, I do think I've left it a little bit too late. The sun is a little bit too high now, and the dynamic range in the scene is just a little bit tricky to deal with, because the background is in direct sunlight, but the actual trunk of the silver birch tree and all the foliage is in shadow. So I think if I'd come here sort of pre-dawn, where the light was a little bit flatter, it would have definitely created more of a even exposure across the scene. But you know what? You win some, you lose some. This place is 15 minutes from my house, so no doubt I will be back and I will try again. But I'm going to take the photo anyway. Compositionally, it's fairly straightforward. I'm shooting it as a square crop, just because I think compositionally everything fits a little bit nicer. There's a lot of stuff to the left of the tree that is just a bit messy. It's just bushes and there's no real colour or light on them. And same to the kind of right of the scene. There isn't really an awful lot going on. But the height is important, because this tree is sort of twisting and the canopy is quite high. So I'm kind of pointing the camera up. I'm shooting it at 20mm. It's pretty wide. But I just really want to exaggerate the form of this really beautiful tree. So yeah, square crop is the way to go. I may change that in post, but yeah, a really nice photo nonetheless. Now, I mentioned before that I didn't really get around to photographing every scene that I wanted to photograph in the most optimal conditions, and I think that's something that we all have to remind ourselves of during the autumn, and it's a massive reason why I'm starting so early this year, because today is the 29th of September, and that's because we just need to give ourselves time and opportunity to get back to these places. You know, rather than trying to photograph 5 scenes in one morning, try photographing one scene over 5 different mornings. But that's why kind of rolling the dice multiple times, you know, coming out, giving yourself opportunity to, give yourself opportunity to get the right conditions and photographing scenes in the right moments. It's just going to mean by the end of the autumn, you're probably going to have a lot more photos that you're going to really be happy with, as opposed to trying to kind of shoehorn every single scene into one shoot. And it's difficult because we all have busy lives, but really it's just a case of prioritizing it. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there for today. I hope you've enjoyed this morning of photography. Thanks so much for taking the time to come along with me. The photos were probably a mixed bag, but I absolutely loved taking them. So if you've enjoyed the video, do give the video a thumbs up. I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. As always, it's great to hear from you. It's great to know what you think about the photos, but also about what we speak about in these videos. So yeah, until next time, take care, and I'll see you really soon.